Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
Phelps with 10 meters left. 3 minutes too good. The crowd roaring. Freeman wins gold.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. Listeners, welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show. On today's show, I caught up with two incredible young human beings, husband and wife, Barney and Kate Miller. Some of you may be familiar with Barney Miller's story and also Kate's, as it was showcased in the premiere release of their movie You and Me, the documentary throughout this year. The calendar year that we're in at the moment is 2016. Barney became a quadriplegic at the age of 18/19. He was involved in a horrific accident at 120 kilometres an hour in New South Wales near Coffs Harbour. The result of the injuries were extensive, and Barney went from a young guy with great aspirations with his surfing and physical activity through to needing to obviously develop function to the best of his ability with his quadriplegia. And what Barney has achieved in terms of physical performance and capacity is nothing short of spectacular. I make reference multiple times through the interview, but you really do need to get yourself along or grab a copy of You and Me, the movie, to watch it. The human body, driven by the human spirit and mind, can achieve some incredible things. And I honestly don't know too many stories that have moved me in the way that Barney's recovery from his injury did. And in addition to that, the story of Kate, his wife, who traverses Barney's path and then they fall in love, is told in the movie. And their parallel journey of helping each other develop themselves is just so inspiring. Kate's now gone on to have a real booming music career, which she'll touch on through the interview. So this is a real treat. You're going to really enjoy it, get a lot out of it. Please drop me a note at the end of it and let me know if you've heard it. And definitely, guys, share this one around. This is one that you just want as many people to hear as possible to help them through their journey in life. So here we go, guys. Let's jump straight in. Barney and Kate Miller. G'day, guys. How you going?
Hello.
Guys, I like to start with something a little bit curly straight out of the gate, and that's, what's one thing that scares you both?
Wow. We actually had this conversation the other day and Barney couldn't think of anything.
Donald Trump.
What is it about Donald Trump, Barney, that scares you?
No, mate. No, nothing. Just, who knows what's going to happen.
You reckon he'll get in?
I hope not, but I just don't want to see what the world would become if he did.
Yeah, well, we'll have to just wait, won't we? What about you, Kate? What's one thing that scares you?
I actually hate flying, believe it or not, and that is my life. I'm always in planes. But, yeah, I absolutely hate it.
Wow, because you are always in planes, aren't you? And we'll go there through this interview with your career. So guys, for listeners that aren't acquainted with your respective and then combined journey, let's go back to Barney. Yourself, I actually met you, I think it was early 2000s through a mutual friend of ours, Gordon Kilby, and I was down staying with Gordon at Sawtell on the north coast of New South Wales and going for a South Coast surf trip, and Gordon introduced me to you in the early 2000s, and from my understanding you're obviously an up-and-coming surfer and working as a whitewater rafter and up-and-coming surfer with your view on a professional career, and then tragedy struck with the car accident, 120 kilometres an hour into a tree, leaving you, in a state of quadriplegia. So, mate, what was life like before the accident for you in terms of your physical performance?
It was good. Like as well, but yeah, sort of 99 April 3rd was when the accident happened. But up until that day, yeah, it was just active. Like whatever I sort of wanted to do, I sort of tried to do my best at. Like whether it was at a young age with soccer or just then once I just found the love for surfing, and then that was just what I wanted to do. Like that's just a dream of just being able to surf professionally. And it just life's good. Yeah, life was good. Life still is good. I shouldn't say that, but yeah.
Yeah, and mate, I mean, you were in the water probably twice a day, some days, I imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, surfing such a strong, it sort of tells such a strong little surfing community, isn't it? I mean, you would have had a bit of a band of brothers out there in the water all the time, I imagine.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. It's good. It was. You always know. Sawtell's only a small place, so you always know who's out there.
Yeah, including the grafted in Gordon Kilby, hey, when he came to town.
Yeah, you can't take the Gordon Kilby out of the graft or whatever it goes.
Oh, terrific. We'll have to send this to him, won't we? So okay, that was life. You're an active 18, 19-year-old, and then obviously the accident. The recovery, Barney, I mean, obviously it's an ongoing, rehabilitation process, but what was that first sort of 6 months like? I mean, can you recall the moment when you received the prognosis as to the degree of your spinal injuries?
Yeah, I did. I never really got told like what the spinal injuries or how bad they were. Like I just told I'd had an accident. It was actually just a nurse that I'd spoken to and asked them. One of the first things was, will I ever get to surf again? And they pretty much just said no. And then they explained the whole thing, what had happened. And it was, mate, it's a hard thing to take when you first hear that sort of news, and your heart definitely drops. But then I guess there was something else in me that clicked, and it was just, I'm not going to be put in this category or that pigeonhole, and I want to prove all these people wrong. So that was, I guess, the worst and probably the best thing that's probably ever happened to me.
Yeah, wow. So when you say the worst, understandable, the best, what was the can you unpack that a little bit more, mate?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best part would have been like, it's sort of the trigger that it did switch in me was the whole like motivation flame. It just hit a motivation flame in me just because I'd never been told or given a challenge this big. So I wanted to take this challenge up and then try and prove them wrong.
So up until this point, you were, obviously a pretty determined young lad.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But life was easy back then.
Stubborn.
Yeah,
probably stubborn.
So in those days, if one of the boys called you into a wave as a challenge, you were on it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You can't hold back, eh?
Oh, so and Barney, the extent of your injuries, I just fleetingly crossed over it, but for the benefit of listeners who aren't yet familiar with this story, what was the list of injuries that you did sustain? So
I got told that, firstly, I had a ventilator in my throat, so a trachea, and I got told I'd never be able to breathe by myself ever again, and then would never be able to move my right arm again, and also there was no chance of ever being on my feet or ever slim chance of ever walking again.
Wow. So, and that was all delivered to you fairly quickly. Like in terms of, you got that news pretty soon, pretty quickly after being admitted.
Yeah, I did. I was probably within the first couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah. Wow. And Kate, at this point, you hadn't crossed paths. If I'm correct, there you were living down. For my memory's correct, way down south in New South Wales. There, help me with the town.
Yeah, I was living in Cowra.
Yep.
Which is 10 hours southwest of where we live now. It's in the central west of New South Wales. And, I didn't know this guy yet, but we were destined to meet. And,
it's interesting you say that, Kate, because I think that's the theme of the movie You and Me, when I watched that earlier in the year at the Gold Coast premiere here, I think everyone that left with, having shed quite a few tears was like, wow, there's destiny in life. And I think your story is the epitome of that. So, Kate, your paths hadn't yet crossed. Let's jump back to that in a moment when your paths do cross. Barney, at any point through your rehabilitation, did you equivocate or have doubts that you would restore some function, or were you just hell-bent on proving, the people that were saying you couldn't do this or you wouldn't do that again wrong?
I guess it's sort of, you definitely have good days and bad days, and like I always knew like sort of what I wanted to do, and but your path goes a different way sometimes. Sometimes things, you just get caught up in a few things that you don't want to get caught up in, and your path sort of goes, you go off path a tiny bit, but it's just having to keep trying to stay that motivation and keep back on the correct path pretty much. But it was sort of, it's definitely hard. Like it's a lot easier these days, that's for sure. But back in the day, just the whole being young and doing what you want to do, and I guess drinking with friends, and don't know, just having so many, like I guess
it's hard enough as it is being a young, almost 20-year-old before even having an injury, but then and then having to living that life and trying to make the balance, which often got sort of pushed the wrong way. But it was always, as I said, I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do it, I guess. Yeah,
all right. So, I mean, the movie the documentary movie depicted your journey, into some of those temptational, I guess, self-medications, that so many young 20-year-olds reach for, and, alcohol and, the party scene. And Kate had actually, coincided with what you, interestingly just referred to, and that's even without an injury, of Barney's magnitude, trying to rehabilitate that. There's still things that young people need to navigate. And the movie or the documentary, You and Me, shared and showcased your journey on that too, Kate. So you obviously had to, cross that as well. What was that like for you?
Growing up in a small country town and not really feeling like I had a voice at the time, especially, and not really knowing how to express my feelings of tragedies that had happened in not only my life but the whole town. And I guess we lost a few friends to suicide and to drunk driving, and the whole town was kind of in sorrow because of that. And I think at that time too, because I was so upset, I didn't really know how to express that, because I felt like the whole town was sad as well, so I didn't feel like I had a right to be sad. And so in those kind of situations, I turned to the wrong type of outlet, I guess. But I think because I hadn't really found the courage to use my passion as singing or anything at that stage to have it as an outlet. So I guess.
Yeah, no, it's sure. So, and then, Kate, you then left Cowra to head north with, I think, from memory, your stepfather and yourself, if that's correct, driving up. Was that correct? To Sawtell, where Barney was.
My dad.
Your dad, sorry. Your father, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
They're all dads anyway, aren't they? So your dad and yourself drove up?
My dad and me drove up. My other little sister was actually also with us for that trip. And, it was hard. I was 17 at the time, so it was a really big step for me to not only be moving away from home by myself, but so far away from home. And because as a teen, being in those teenage years, not really clashing that well with my parents, as a lot of teenagers tend to do, it was a bittersweet kind of thing, because it's that whole, you don't realise what you have until it's no longer there. And in those moments, it was it was nice though to be able to spend those last few hours together traveling before I fully made the move away and kind of put everything in the past and start fresh. And we've got such a strong relationship now, and I'm so grateful for them believing in me that I could make that change far away, even as though it would have been so hard for them to make that decision.
And obviously your steps were being ordered because on the other side of that car trip you would have crossed paths with Barney. So what was that first? How did that first encounter play out?
Lucky her.
And this is a there's a rating on this show too, guys.
Yeah. It was the Sawtell Chili Festival actually when we first caught each other's eye.
Wow! And then Barney, had you submitted your best chili mix?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was my con carne that won her over, eh?
So at the Sawtell Chili Fest, and what did Barney come up to you, Kate, or did you approach Barney?
It was kind of, I think you started talking to me first. We had mutual friends around, and then he came and chatted with me, and then we became friends instantly, and that's how it was.
And you're still together. It's a beautiful story. And I mean, Barney, at this stage, what was your? I mean, this is now how many years on since your actual injury?
This was actually 8 years after the accident.
So we fast forward 8 years, and just fill in a little bit of that backstory, Barney, in terms of your rehabilitation. Were you getting gains each year upon year, or did you hit like big improvements and plateaus?
Yeah, bits and pieces. I was definitely getting stronger, but just there was not much happening. There was nothing happening in the lower limbs, so I was sort of just trying to do what I could do, and I guess that was sort of when we sort of met at the time of when things were a bit sort of dark in my life as well, like just where I'd sort of gotten to and what I've been doing. And
I think we just both were at a stage that we weren't happy with where we were, and we knew we wanted better. We just didn't know how to make that next step to try. Try and get out of it. And until we met each other, and it was such a blessing in disguise that we didn't realize how much us meeting each other was going to save each other and give us both the courage and the permission to say, you know what, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Wow. So it was like iron sharpening iron and moving forwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you were at a low point at that point, Barney, when Kate and yourself came together. Did you experience some really I mean, in that first year, what was a day of rehabilitation like for you? Was it 5 hours long, 2 hours long, 8 hours long on some days?
So I guess when we first met, I was sort of doing my thing. I was sort of doing a lot of sort of weights and upper body and stuff, and bits and pieces, and then that's when we did some research and found places in America that were doing pretty amazing stuff. And then that was when we decided that we were gonna.
It was almost as if the moment that he said to me, "This is my plan. Like, I don't want to be in this chair forever. I want to actually try now." That moment that he put it out there, all the doors started opening, and we'd meet one person who'd tell us about another person, and it happened pretty quickly, actually, all of the people that we started to meet. And then it lined up that when we first found Project Walk, one of our friends, Taylor Knox, that is a pro surfer from Carlsbad, California, which is also in the same place as Project Walk, his trainer had a house, and he invited us to stay with him and his son, and it just happened that it was only 5 minutes away from Project Walk. So it was all the stars were aligning, and it made the decision so much easier, and it really felt like a meant to be situation. So we just went with it. It was so scary, and to pack up and move overseas for 3 months together and not have any support from anyone except for ourselves. But we just followed our gut and just went for it, and it was the best decision ever.
To go over there, because Project Walk, for listeners, and it's depicted, some of those scenes in the documentary, the movie, are just incredible. It was a 12-week intensive rehabilitation program with neuro specialists in terms of improving your function and your capacity, and so you went over there with that with I guess a lot of hope. I imagine, as you said, Kate, you just touched on, you had to pull resources together. Was there some, I guess, naysayers in your world where, you were headstrong going for it, but there was some people saying, oh, look, with probably the well-meaning intention of your best interests at heart, but maybe all the same making it a bit difficult for you?
Yeah, no one would actually say out loud, I don't think you should go or anything, but there was definitely some people, family, friends, that were worried more so about Barney's expectations of it. I think they thought that Barney just expected that he would go over there and then come back walking, where we never went over there with those expectations. We knew that it was going to be a lifelong journey, and it was going to be the start of a lifelong journey, and we knew that at worst case scenario, he was just going to get stronger and healthier. Yeah.
So we just went with we pretty much just went with an open mind. Like, you just got to go with an open mind, just saying, I'm ready to just work my butt off, and
it blew our
let's just see what happens. So and then amazing things. Just the body just started
to waking
up, and it was just like, wow, it was crazy.
What's one story from your time at Project Walk that is one moment the most significant for you, Barney and Kate, in terms of that rehabilitation process? Was there one moment that you just took your breath away, or just took your breath away, Kate, and Barney probably increased your heart rate and took your breath away as well?
I think probably the first time that me and Kate got to stand, I'd been standing with trainers, and Kate had been with me the whole time, and one of the trainers asked, do you want to trade out? Do you want to swap out? So that was a scary point, because we had to try and get Kate to come in, and while the trainer was still holding me, and then I had to continue to lock my legs out. It was and then it worked. So, and that's, I think that's definitely one of the most special moments that happened for sure.
Yeah.
And was that the first, Barney, the first time you'd been, aside from transfers where I guess people would help you transfer, predominantly I guess in the early stages of after your accident, transfer from sitting to sort of semi-standing but not fully standing. This was you standing on your own accord with Kate there, the first time truly vertical for 9-10 plus years.
Exactly, it would have been. It was that, because it was probably
11 years.
It was 11 years after, so it was probably our second trip to Project Walk, and second or third, actually.
The really cool thing too, when we first went there, Barney could hardly lift his arms up above his chest. He was, without kind of becoming really lopsided, and he just out of balance, and from that, and then he had no movement at all in his legs apart from involuntary spasms. And when we first went to Project Walk, he was the longest person that had ever been there post-injury. Wow. So it had been 10 years since he had his accident. And usually people go within the 2 to 5 year bracket, and so they were a little bit skeptical even. At the same time, they were like, well, what are your goals? And Barney goes, well, I want to walk. And then they're like, okay, but let's work on some small goals first before we start talking about that. Because they'll never talk about walking unless they can guarantee it. And so Barney was like, okay. And our trainer, Jason, he was such just a hard man. His personality was just hard. And Barney's like, I'll show him. Set these small goals. And then in those first few weeks, Barney just started smashing goal after goal after goal. And it even surprised him, because half the time he was bluffing him. Like he would say, "Oh, can you do this?" And Barney's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And it would be like, "Can you sit up by yourself?" or something. Barney had never tried doing it before by himself, but because he bluffed him and he didn't want him to know that he couldn't do it, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do it." And then he did it, and he surprised himself. He's like, "Hang on, I think I can actually probably do more than I think I can." And yeah, so that surprised them, and then it turned from them saying, "If you ever walk again, you'll be doing this," to when you're walking, you need to think about this. So that was a huge moment for us to hear them say that.
From if to when, that was huge.
Can you remember the moment, or was it just a subtle nuance with their language from if to when?
It was pretty much it was just straight up. Like they were talking about stuff, and then because I had a couple of trainers there, and then one of them just said, "Listen, you're going to need this when you start walking." And then that's when it was like, "Oh, it's the first time I've heard that." Like that was just a massive excitement as well, for sure.
Wow. So what was going through your head, guys, at that, or in your head, Barney, and your head, Kate, at that moment when you heard them? You would have been like antennas, I imagine. You just said when.
I said, "I can
you
do
didn't
it.
say if. You said
I can do this. I'm going to do this." Like that was just another big thing.
Yeah. So that seed it had already been planted, but it was watered, if you like, and it was like, right, game on. The team at Project Walk, they were amazed with things. Barney, you were smashing goals, as you referred to there, Kate. The movie, through the documentary, it shared at some point there that your close friend and good mate Mick Fanning was actually over there with you, doing some sessions and training with you. How did that all come about, guys?
Yeah, so Mick was over there actually competing in Trestles, and Trestles was right near where I was training, and he just said, I want to come in to watch you train," and then I just thought he was going to come watch me train, and then next thing he texts me and goes, what should I wear? Like, should I wear my workout gear? And I'm like, yeah, you can if you want. Like, still not expecting that he wanted to get involved. And then he got there, and then he goes, he started like sort of really watching, and my trainer's like, do you want to, like a mix, like, oh, I want to go, or like, oh, I want to have a go at training. So him and my trainer were talking things over, and they were swapping out, and then Mick was training with me, and then just...
That was cool too, because from all of Mick's knowledge and background in all the amazing therapies and training that he's had the exposure to he started giving a lot of tips as well, which now our Barney's trainer Josh still uses to this day. Like,
at his new
which is really cool.
Yeah. So, and then it was just that was, and then we got to stand, and then it was just another really cool thing, like just to speak. Yeah, so
and to have a friend from home as well be there to witness it all as well, because for so long it had just been us two seeing it and just talking about it, and to have someone at home to experience it, from home to experience it all with us, was really special. As in,
Kate, having Mick Fanning with you. Yeah. What was Mick's first words to you after he saw this for himself?
He was pretty speechless actually for a bit. He just kept staring. He's like, I can't believe it. This is amazing. And I think, and then he said he went back into his car after it and just cried.
That might be a secret. That might be a secret from the movie. I'd like to watch the movie. I'd like to watch the movie to see what Mick says.
Yeah, you will have to watch. And listeners, we will be including all the links in the show notes and things. But whatever you do, you and me should be compulsory viewing for every teenager in schools and every human being on the planet. There was a quote here in one of the papers that Mick was quoted as saying of Mr. Miller, of Barney Miller. Fanning says, re the film, it's incredible to have that willpower to move forward and just say, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to do my best. He's definitely a huge inspiration in my life. And this article cites that being part of your recovery, Barney, was, part of the catalyst of Mick taking some time out after his, challenge in 2015 and reevaluating things himself. So there's obviously an incredible bond between all three of you guys.
Yeah. Definitely,
he's a special human being, that's for sure.
Yeah.
and we're very proud to have him as a friend and
thankful.
Yeah, thankful
to have him in our life.
Yeah.
And I mean, the movie also depicts you out, shows you out in the water surfing. With Mick and with I think it might be Mick in the movie exclusively, but I'm sure you've got a bit of a crew that take you out. What was the first session like when you got back out in the water, Barney? And how many years after the accident was it?
Yeah, so actually one of the first surfs was probably about it would have been 6 years maybe after the accident, and so one of the first, it was definitely scary. So the surf was you're a bit more vulnerable out there now. Like it's which is hard a bit, but then you just got to roll with the punches. Like it's just you put a lot of trust in people and just the whole ocean as well. So I had to learn how to hold my breath really quick for a long time, and just have fun, just enjoy it. And it was different, but it was so much more enjoyable, and it's something that I think has definitely sort of like saved me a bit as well with my saneness and with my body as well. Like, because I'm lying down on my stomach and I'm up on my elbows, I'm totally opposite to what I am in the chair. So in the chair I'm sitting, and in the board I'm lying with my back arched. So it's just stretching all the hip flexors and the abs, and just stretching all that out, which has become so tight from sitting in a chair for so long. So one of my trainers over in America just said, like, surfing saved you, like, in your body and in your mind, for sure.
How often do you get out, Barney, for a wave?
Got to get out there every weekend at least. It's it's definitely what I need for myself and for my body, for sure.
And for listeners, I mean, to get a context of, we might be able to source some footage of you surfing and include it in the show notes, so people can actually see this. But can you just describe, Barney? I mean, what's the special setup with the board to allow you to to stay on it?
Yeah, so I've got a board just made up now by Darren Hanley up on the Goldie. Him and Mick sort of worked on the board together, and so I'm lying down, and I'm lying on my stomach, up on my elbows, which there's two sort of straps or two sort of foot straps that are on each side of the board, which hold my elbows in. And then I'm lying down. I've got my hips sort of put in the board, and that's pretty much about it. And then the boys just push me on the wave, and then it's go time. Like, I sort of surf across, and I can still do maneuvers, and it's just giving me the same thrill and the same rush that I had back in the day.
And maneuvers, what's your heat winning maneuver, Barney?
Oh, mate, I'm pretty good at cutbacks, and I'm pretty good at like smacking the lip at the end of section two.
Awesome. And if you do roll or off, you're the people that are out in the water with you, they're straight in on it, are they?
Yeah, pretty much. I've become a lot stronger now, where I can swim and I can do all that sort of rolling myself over now.
And he's wearing a life vest.
And I'm wearing a life vest, and just working on a lot of sort of deep breathing exercises, and so I've got a bit of time up my sleeve if there is a bit of a emergency, I think, or a couple of waves I have to get. Yeah, if there's
a set you got to take on the head.
Pretty much, eh?
Wow. And so if you're around the Saltell area, you might see Barney up for a wave on a weekend.
Yeah, mate. You can't miss me. My new board's green and purple, so
like Barney the dinosaur.
So keep an eye out for him and go say good day. Give him a push on one of the waves. And so, guys, Kate. So you and Barney, you're in the US. You've spent multiple trips in time with the team at Project Walk. Back to Australia, and Kate, you've got a burgeoning music career. You're a super talented musician and performed at the Gold Coast premiere of You and Me, and brought the house down. Kate, your music career, when did that start to blossom for you?
I've always sang my whole life, and I was involved in school musicals and everything. And then I stopped singing for a few years in my teenage years. And then it wasn't until we went to Project Walk the first year, in 2009, I think it was, that Barney convinced me to buy a piano while we were over there, and because it was kind of just my scene. That was my surfing.
Yeah.
was playing the piano and singing and writing. And I mentioned to a few people that I liked doing it as a hobby, and they some friends convinced me to sing at an open mic night. And I think it was from that moment of singing to a crowd of people that I had never met and that came up to me afterwards just thanking me for singing to them and singing the songs that I wrote as well. It definitely sparked something in me. And then from watching Barney, and not only just Barney, everyone that was at Project Walk at the time, they were all there proving the impossible, and they had so many more obstacles in their way, but yet they weren't afraid to try, and they weren't afraid to just put the hard work in. And from seeing that and then looking at myself and going, well, I have a voice, I can write, and I really have I'm in America. I have no reason why I shouldn't try. So, yeah, that started then. And from that moment, I just started networking with people, and, yeah, kind of blossomed from there. And then Mick introduced me to a friend of his, Kevin Zinger, who owns a record label over there called Suburban Noise, and his label's not suited towards me, but he started connecting me with other people, which led me to my producer and label, John Edney, and it's been an amazing experience from working with him and having him as a mentor. He actually was just here last week. He went home yesterday back to LA, and we set up a studio in the house and ready to go again.
You're ready to go for what would be the second studio album, is that right, Kate?
Yeah, I started working on it. I actually wrote some songs for the film that were placed in there, and which was really exciting. And so I started working on them a few months ago, and then having him here to set the studio up properly has given me the opportunity now to be able to work full time on it rather than having to just rely whenever I'm in America. And yeah, it's been great.
So fantastic. So I'm going to come back to some bucket list items, which I'll be interested to hear from Kate yourself and Barney yourself and combine. So there's two very much parallel journeys here of seeking your best performance, whether it's vocal or physical, and I think this is such a beautiful parallel journey going forwards. I mean, I don't want to give away all the movie secrets, listeners. You're just going to have to go and see this, but there's a driving goal that the story really is themed around that culminates in one of, I reckon, the most incredible what's the word, guys? Cinematographic or whatever it is. Screen moments of all time at the end, and I'm not going to share it with you. You're going to have to see the movie. But one of the build-ups to that is the proposal, which let's not share details, guys. Let's get intrigued listeners to go and watch it for themselves. But I have to say, just bloke to bloke, Barney, that was one incredible proposal you pulled off there, mate. So well done.
Thanks, mate.
And obviously it went well, because here you guys are now. So let's just save that for a bit of intrigue for the listeners to get along and see the movie. But guys, the movie itself, the story of how that came about is quite a story in and of itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
Can you share a little bit around that for listeners?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I originally I got approached by a couple of film students from New York who were actually, to cut a long story short, one of the good mates I grew up with, it was his cousin. So so Taylor, who is one of them, came up to me and just said, would you be interested in doing a film or a short 15-minute documentary and just about my recovery and stuff? And then they came out to Australia and borrowed equipment and all that sort of thing, and came out here, started shooting, and then we were up at the Quickie Pro. So I just started introducing him to people like Mick and different people at the tour event, and they were just like, this is not going to fit in a 15-minute minute story, and then it didn't sort of come, and then we just kept filming, and then it didn't come till Garage jumped on board, and Mick Lawrence, who's just been the man, and just jumped on, and he found out Kate's backstory, and just couldn't believe that how our two stories were sort of so different but so much alike, and then just the whole lead up, and he twisted the whole movie into what it is now and turned it into the monster it is, and we've just been blown away. Like, it's just, it's not only just a story of recovery anymore, it's a story of love, it's a story of
it's a life story.
A life story, and it was just, we can't thank them enough, or we can't even explain what an amazing feeling it is to have this story of us, and to hear what people have to say about it is just so rewarding, and just knows that, and it makes us realise that, because it was a hard decision. We put our lives out there, like we put our souls out for the world to sort of judge or do whatever they wanted to do with it, and it was
all in or nothing.
Yeah, all in or nothing. So it was kind of daunting, and then to hear the response from what people have taken from the movie, all ages, from 3-year-olds to 80-year-olds, it's we've just been blown away, and it's a speechless. We're kind of really speechless about how it sort of affected so many people's lives.
Yeah, and the whole concept of You and Me as well is just bringing back that raw honesty between two people, and whether it's you and me or you and me, like it's just bringing back that human connection again, and encouraging people to talk about their feelings and tell people their dreams and what they want out of life, because so many people get too scared to do that, and we were definitely those people until we met each other. And it's about building those relationships and those foundations so then you can do that. And that's how this whole journey for us started, was because we met each other, and we both had from building our relationship, we were able to trust each other with our dreams, and then from that we believed in each other, then we believed in ourselves, and then this happened. And it all starts with a conversation. And so it's just spreading that message around and hoping that people will take something positive out of the story from all different parts of the story, and
to show what's possible. Show what's possible when you put your mind to it, you work hard, and you surround yourself with good people, and there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah, wow. And I mean, I was struck by the fact that 2 film students from New York City came across, this story, and and then off it's gone with legs at, with the feature film, the producer of Bra Boys, and touring around. It's but it's a story that evidently needs to be told, and I firmly believe everyone should see. Where can listeners actually see the movie, guys? You and Me. Where can they find it?
If you go to youandmethemovie.com, you'll be able to find all the links on there. I think it has the link for iTunes, but it's on iTunes, Google Play, all the digital platforms.
And for all the sort of old school people, like, I guess I'm an old school person, but a lot of other old school people like the old hard copy DVD. Well, it's available at every JB Hi-Fi around Australia. So, mate, get amongst.
Get your hands on the hard copy or the digital version. This, whatever you do, get your eyes on it. It's absolutely incredible. And guys, what's on? I mean, what does life look like for you both at the moment? I mean, Barney, you're still obviously. What's your week-to-week training regime look like?
I'm just training as much as possible. Like, train most days a week, and just put a lot of focus back into myself, and but on the other hand, just trying to. I've started doing some talks, like a bit of public speaking, and I've been doing a few schools, and just spreading the word, and just showing people what's possible with the with what we're doing, and I just want then going to try and get into corporate, and I'm actually just training because not that long ago I've sort of been asked to represent Australia in the ISA World Adaptive Surf Games, so that's the next thing on my agenda, which comes up in December, and so I get to surf for the country and give my best at bringing home a title.
Where will the championships be held, Barney?
They're in Southern California, at over there.
Come on,
it's in my second home sort of field, so that's pretty good. So I've I'm pretty excited to sort of throw the rashy back on,
mate. Well, congratulations! And that you said that's in December. Did you say early December?
Yeah, December 8 to 11, which I'm pretty sure it'll be on webcast and stuff. So it's gonna. I've been watching the boys win titles now, Mick and that. So it's my turn to try and have a crack, eh?
Come on. Well, I don't think you'll be shy of having a big fan base, Barney. So hey, we'll be cheering for you, and we'll try and include that in the show notes, a link to it, even if it hasn't yet occurred when this goes live. Bucket list for you, Kate. What's on your bucket list?
On my bucket list, well, the big one would definitely be to get a Grammy.
Come on. It's all about belief. You said it, hey, Barney.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. My bucket list, I'm just so grateful for everything that we have right now. It's been absolutely amazing, and I just want to keep living our life as it is, and obviously improving once we have children as well. But yeah, just keep singing. My big goal is to be able to empower people through my music, and that's my little piece of my voice to be able to share and to make a difference in the world. So yeah, I plan on using it and spreading a good message of hope and love, and just empowering people.
That's your gift. And Barney, what about for yourself? I mean, these are individual questions I've got, but obviously this is as a married couple.
Yeah. So the bucket list, definitely
world title.
Yeah, definitely that's on it on the cards. But and then just me in the sort of meantime, just concentrate on just training and just being on my feet more, and definitely want to become a more active dad. So when the little kidlets come along, I just want to be up on my feet all the time to be able to be nice and active and just spend more time, and it's going to be that's definitely on the list, eh?
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes. What percentage of your day, do you get up vertical now, Barney?
Oh, mate,
a lot.
We'll doing everything now, getting in and out of bed, getting on and off lounges, getting in and out of the car. Like I stand, and we sort of stand for a few minutes at a time, and then when I'm training, I'm just sort of in the parallel bars for can be in a couple of hours at a time and stuff like that. So
I think there's going to need to be a you and me too.
Yeah. So
no doubt.
You and me and them maybe or something.
Yeah. I have to say I got a bit defensive when I saw at the movies a movie with I think the title was some way related, made from Hollywood, and I'm like, that's not it. That's not the real story. You need the real version.
We did get a few people thinking that was our movie.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
It tells a story, doesn't it? But it's nothing like a true story. So anyway, I was like, no, let's get these guys up. So anyway, what's one bit of advice, Barney? Someone that's physically gone from, what would be, for most people a seeming nightmare in terms of physical outcome, to someone that's so positive on life, has such a vision, including off to the world, surfing championships there that you mentioned. What's one bit of advice you'd give to people looking, Barney, to perform at their physical best, if you could boil it down to just one bit of advice?
I think no matter what the situation you're in, it's never too late to change. Like, no matter how far gone you think you are or how injured you think you are, I don't think you've just got to know in yourself that you can change. We have the power inside us to change, and so that's pretty much the number one thing that I'd say to people, and just surround yourself with good people, work hard, stay motivated, and
That's like 6 things.
yeah, okay. So the one thing turned in. So I've got a lot of good info. So that one is 6 things. So
That's right, mate. Then we can wrap that into one. And what about for yourself, Kate? One bit of advice you'd give to people looking to perform, their best, whatever endeavour the endeavour may be.
I think the biggest thing is to not let anyone else's opinion, whether it's professional or not, limit you on what you can or can't do. And it could even be you that's limiting yourself. Your belief system is so crucial in your success, and if you doubt yourself a little bit, then chances are you're not going to make it. If you can't believe in it, how is somebody else supposed to believe in it?
Yeah.
So, I think it's just don't let others limit you. Yeah.
Brilliant, guys. And I mean, who's one person that you individually, in life admire? It might be a physical performer or it might be otherwise. Who would it be for yourself, firstly, Kate? One person you admire and why? It can't be the gentleman sitting next to you there on the left.
Okay. I'm always inspired by people who use their status, I guess, in life to help others. So one person I really do admire is Michelle Obama. Yeah, I think the way that she carries herself and empowers not only women but just people, humanity in general. I think it would be her.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about yourself, Barney?
I have to say, I'd probably have to say Mick for sure. Like, just, I don't know, since knowing Mick and just seeing what he'd been through, I guess the way I can relate to him is that he had an almost career-ending injury and he got through it and just showed what was possible. And I just see him as a really good role model for me as well as for humanity, just to see the amount of, not only that, but the amount of things that he's been through and how he can bounce back and still win world titles and do what he does and be so successful is something that we could really learn from, like, as individuals for sure.
Yeah, powerful. Wow. Guys, where can listeners find out more about the Barney and Kate Miller journeys outside of the You and Me movie, which we referenced there before, which will be in the show notes? Any particular social media handles or anything there, guys, to follow?
At Instagrams, I guess.
Yep.
Mine is at Kada Miller, KADAMILLER.
Yeah, okay. So Kate is who she goes. She goes under the name Kada as her performing, so KADA, and mine's just Barney _Miller, and it's that pretty much gives us gives everyone an insight of what we sort of see and the cool things that we do, and that's probably the easiest for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, no, great stuff. We'll hook those up in the show notes. And Barney and Kate, I've got to say thank you very much. This is a special interview that I've been looking forwards to for a long time, and thanks for sharing. Obviously we've touched on things in this time together, but I know I've said it through this interview, but listeners, please get to see You and Me. Take all your friends or gather them around for a home viewing. Get everyone you can, family as well, and watch this story. And the exciting part is, guys, listening to you guys share it tonight, is that the best is yet to come. Hey, this is just the first chapter.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just the beginning. This is just a stepping stone to what we're going to do.
We'll have to connect for when the part 2 comes out.
Mate, we'd love to talk to you more along the way.
Fantastic. Well, guys, get some sleep, and thanks so much for sharing. And listeners, check it out. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
you.
man.
So, there you have it. I trust you enjoyed this episode of the Physical Performance Show. What a moving, inspiring and compelling story for all of us that Kate and Barney have shared there. Hey guys,
more than ever, if you've gotten something from this episode, please do one or two things, or both even. That's firstly to share it around, tag it through to your friends on social media, share the love, and two, please let me know what the key takeaways were from this episode. So my social handles, obviously at Brad_beer on Twitter, Instagram as well. So please let me know, and I know it would be mean a lot to Barney and Kate too if you found this story inspiring and uplifting and motivating. That share the love with them also. So feel free to tag Barney and Kate Miller. All the links will be in the show notes over at the POGO Physio website page. Listeners, just wanted to say a big kudos and thank you to Mr. Glenn Carlson, who gave the show, the Physio Performance Show, a 5-star review on iTunes. Glenn said, "Brad, you nailed it. Thanks for bringing this to life. I'm a big fan. I'm born to sweat." So thanks very much, Glenn, and anyone else that's leaving the show a review. And hey, if you don't like it, happy to have a 1-star review. Any review and feedback's better than nothing. So thanks, guys. Coming up in the next episode of the Physical Performance Show, I catch up with a young surf lifesaver who in 2015-2016 with the Nutrigrain series broke through to claim her maiden Nutrigrain Iron Woman Series title, complete with a backflip off the podium. Talking about 6 times Molokai board paddle champion Jordan Mercer, hailing from the Sunshine Coast. This is a great interview where we jump into a whole lot of fascinating facts about what it takes to perform at Jordan's physical best. Thanks so much to everyone that's been leaving reviews on iTunes. There's been some great ones coming through, and I'm really appreciative of it. Also, some really good feedback and a few hints and tips on how people think I can help extract a little bit more from the guests. So guys, I am an open book. Really want to make sure I can deliver interviews that are both interesting, obviously entertaining, but also insightful and helpful in your pursuit for your physical best. So guys, until next time, keep pursuing your physical best. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.